Total darkness, a locked ICU room, and a text message that changes everything. If you are just joining us, you need to pause this video and click the link above to watch part 1 right now. Trust me, you need to see how a broke medical student ended up married to the hitman hired to kill her. For those of you returning, welcome back to the nightmare. We left off on a razor's edge. Zainab defied her husband's warning. She refused to let the patient die. She texted Siwoo back, "If you want him dead, you have to go through me." 30 seconds later, the lights in the hospital went out. The contract is broken, the hunters are in the building, and the fake marriage is about to get very, very real. Here is part 2. 30 seconds later, the lights in the hospital went out. The emergency generators kicked in, bathing the hospital in a dim, red emergency glow. "Lock the doors," Zainab screamed, grabbing a scalpel, a useless weapon against guns, but it was all she had. The glass of the ICU doors shattered. 2 men in tactical gear stormed in. Silenced shots puffed through the air. Thwip, thwip. The security guard dropped. Zainab threw herself behind the crash cart, dragging the unconscious Choi Young-soo with her. "Clear the room," Ji-Huk's voice rasped. "Find the doctor. The order wants her alive for questioning. The patient dies." Zainab crawled toward the oxygen tanks. If she could rupture one, create an explosion. Suddenly, the ventilation grate above the nursing station exploded downward. A figure in black dropped from the ceiling, landing in a crouch. He moved with terrifying speed. Snap, twist, shoot. The 2 gunmen were down before they could turn. The figure stood up, adjusting his cuffs. He turned to Zainab. It was Siwoo. He wasn't wearing his usual Italian suit. He was wearing tactical Kevlar. He held a customized assault rifle with the ease of a man holding a pen. "I told you to let him die," Siwoo said, his voice devoid of anger, filled only with a terrifying calm. "I couldn't," Zainab whispered, standing up. "Who are you?" "Husband," he said dryly. "Killer. Fool." Ji-Huk stepped into the room, stepping over the bodies of his men. He held a gun to the head of a nurse, Seo-Yun. "Ah, the happy couple," Ji-Huk sneered. "The council suspected you were soft, Siwoo, marrying the witness, keeping her as a pet. You broke the code." "Let her go, Ji-Huk," Siwoo warned, raising his rifle. "Drop the gun, or your wife's best friend gets a new piercing in her brain." Zainab looked at Seo-Yun. Her friend was trembling, tears streaming down her face. "Do it, Siwoo," Ji-Huk screamed. Siwoo lowered the rifle. "Zainab," he said softly, not looking at her, "do you trust me?" "You're a hitman," she choked out. "Do you trust me?" She looked at his eyes. The coldness was gone. In the red light of the emergency alarms, they burned with something fierce. "Yes," she breathed. "Close your eyes." Zainab squeezed her eyes shut. Bang. A single shot. But not from Ji-Huk, and not from Siwoo. Zainab opened her eyes. Ji-Huk was standing there, looking confused. A small red hole appeared in the center of his forehead. He crumpled to the ground. Behind him, Seo-Yun stood, holding a small, pearl-handled pistol she had pulled from her lab coat. The trembling was gone. Her face was a mask of stone. "You talk too much, Ji-Huk," Seo-Yun said. She adjusted her glasses. Zainab gasped. "Seo-Yun?" Seo-Yun looked at Zainab, her expression unreadable. "Get her out of here, Siwoo. The extraction team is 2 minutes out, but they aren't yours. They're the chairman's." Siwoo nodded to Seo-Yun, a nod of recognition between professionals. "Wait," Zainab stammered. You're one of them?" "I'm his handler, Z," Seo-Yun said, her voice returning to that familiar, sarcastic tone, though her eyes were sad. "I was assigned to watch you, to make sure Siwoo didn't lose his edge. Clearly, I failed." "We have to go." Siwoo grabbed Zainab's hand. "Now." They ran. They sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors of the hospital, dodging security teams. They reached the roof. Rain lashed against them. "We have to jump," Siwoo shouted over the wind. Are you insane? That's 4 stories. There's a dumpster full of medical waste. Soft landing. That is disgusting. It's better than being tortured to death. Jump. He didn't give her a choice. He grabbed her waist and pulled her over the edge. The safe house was a shipping container yard in Incheon, converted into a high-tech bunker. Zainab sat on a cot, wrapped in a blanket, shivering. She watched Siwoo clean his rifle. He stripped the weapon with mechanical precision, his hands covered in oil and blood. "So," she said, her voice hollow, "my husband is an assassin, my best friend is his handler, and my patient was a warlord," Siwoo said quietly. "Choi Young-soo runs the human trafficking ring in the southeast sector. The order was hired to kill him. I was supposed to do it tonight. You saved a monster, Zainab." "I saved a human being," she snapped. "That's what I do. I don't get to choose who deserves to live. That's God's job." "And tonight, I played God," Siwoo said, snapping the bolt back into place. He looked up at her. "I killed 3 men to get you out of there. The order has marked us both. Parkloff, that's the contract name. They combined our names. 2 targets, double the payout. 500 million won." Zainab laughed, a hysterical, jagged sound. "I'm worth dead than I ever was alive." Siwoo stood up and walked over to her. He knelt, bringing his face level with her. He reached out, his hand hovering near her cheek, unsure if he was allowed to touch her. "I watched you," he confessed. "That night in the rain, I had the crosshairs on your chest. I pulled the slack on the trigger, but then you gave that woman your coat. You gave her your last one." "Why didn't you shoot?" she whispered. "Because you were the first thing I'd seen in 10 years that wasn't ugly. I married you to buy time. I thought I could find a way to clear the contract, but I failed. And now I've dragged you into hell." Zainab looked at his hands, hands that had taken 43 lives. Then she looked at his eyes, eyes that were begging for forgiveness. She reached out and took his hand. It was cold, but her grip was warm. "You didn't drag me," she said. "I signed the paper. We're in this together, Siwoo." "You don't understand," he said urgently. "To survive this, we have to disappear. No more medicine, no more Dr. Adebayo. You have to become someone else, someone who can hold a gun." He pulled a small handgun from his belt and held it out to her. "Can you do that? Can you become what you hate to stay alive?" Zainab looked at the gun in her hand. It was heavy, black, ugly. It represented everything she stood against. She took it. "I won't become a killer," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "But I will survive, and I will protect what is mine." Siwoo stared at her, awe washing over his features. "I love you," he whispered. It was the first time he had said the words. "Tell me that when we're not being hunted," she replied, though she squeezed his hand. "Now, what's the plan?" "The plan," Siwoo said, standing up, "is to burn the syndicate down. We go to the head, the chairman. Do you know where he is?" "No, but Seo Yun does." "Seo Yun? Friends from Merc. Ah! She let us go, but she's still one of them." "Is she?" Siwoo mused. He walked to a wall of monitors in the bunker and pulled up a file. "While you were sleeping, I decrypted the files Seo Yun transferred to my phone when we passed in the hallway." "She transferred files?" Siwoo said. "She tapped her phone against mine. NFC transfer. Look." On the screen, a dossier opened. It was an old file, dated 20 years ago. It showed a burning orphanage in Lagos, Nigeria, and a list of investors who funded the paramilitary group that set the fire. At the top of the list was the Obsidian Order. "The Order has global reach," Siwoo explained. "They invest in chaos, wars, coups, massacres." Zainab stared at the screen. "My father. The clinic wasn't just destroyed by rebels. It was funded by them?" "Yes," Siwoo said, but then he clicked the next image. It was a surveillance photo taken 3 days ago. It showed the homeless women, the one Zainab had helped in the rain. The woman was standing upright. She was wearing a suit. She was stepping into a limousine. Zainab gasped. "That's her, the beggar." "That is not a beggar," Siwoo said, his blood running cold. That is Madame Zhang, the chairwoman of the Obsidian Order. The silence in the bunker was deafening. She wasn't homeless, she whispered, horror dawning on her. She was testing me. She was testing me, Siwoo realized. The contract to kill you, it was never about the airport witness. Madame Zhang is dying. She has cancer. She needs a successor, not just someone who can kill. She has thousands of those. She needs someone who can understand the value of life, but has the capacity for ruthlessness. Siwoo looked at Zainab with wide eyes. She dressed as a beggar to see if anyone in this city had a soul left. You passed. I spared you, which means I have a conscience, a weakness in her eyes, but also a potential strength. So, Zainab stepped back. She wants me? No, Siwoo said, loading a fresh magazine into his rifle. She wants us, the king and the queen. She orchestrated all of this, the marriage, the leak about the patient, the attack at the hospital. It was an audition. The monitor beeped. An incoming video call. Siwoo hesitated, then hit accept. Madame Zhang's face filled the screen. She looked elegant, frail, and terrifying. She was sitting in a garden, sipping tea. Congratulations, Mr. Beck, Mrs. Beck. You survived the hospital. That was stage 1. Go to hell, Siwoo growled. I'm already there, my boy. Zainab Adebayo. You have a healer's hands. And now, thanks to your husband, you have a killer's protection. The perfect balance. What do you want? Zainab demanded, stepping into the frame. I want to offer you a choice, Madame Zhang said. The police are looking for you. The rival gangs are looking for you. You can run, live in sewers, and eventually die in a ditch. Or you can come to the main estate. You can take your place at the table. You can use the Order's power to destroy the people who really deserve it, like the warlord you saved tonight. You want us to run the syndicate? Siwoo asked, incredulous. I want you to evolve it, she corrected. I leave my empire to the couple who showed me that mercy is not always weakness. But be warned, if you decline, the contract stands. Everyone you know in Nigeria, everyone you know in Seoul, will be erased. The screen went black. Zainab and Siwoo stood in the silence of the container. The rain hammered against the metal roof. Zainab looked at the gun in her hand. She thought of her father. She thought of the warlord she had saved, who would go on to hurt children. She thought of the power to stop it, not with bandages, but with authority. She looked at Siwoo. He wasn't cleaning his gun anymore. He was waiting for her command. He had fallen in love, and in doing so, he had given her the leash to the monster he was. Z, he asked softly, we can run. I can get us a boat to Thailand by morning. Zainab Adebayo, the girl who wanted to heal the world, walked over to the window. She looked out at the lights of Seoul, a city of predators and prey. She ejected the magazine from the handgun, checked the bullets, and slammed it back in with a sharp metallic clack. No, she said, her voice dropping an octave, echoing the cold authority of the woman on the screen. We don't run. She turned to Siwoo, her eyes dry, her resolution terrifying. She wants to see if we can lead? Let's show her. Zainab's eyes hardened. We go to the estate. We take the deal. And then? Siwoo asked. And then, Zainab said, a small, dangerous smile playing on her lips, we kill her, and we take it all. Siwoo stared at her. He saw the transformation. The medical student was gone. The paper wife was gone. He slung his rifle over his shoulder and bowed his head slightly. Not to a boss, but to a partner. As you wish, my love.